It was a quiet evening in late autumn when Sylvia's life began to unravel. The leaves outside her window swirled in the cold wind, mimicking the storm that was brewing in her heart. She had always thought of her marriage to Greg as solid, perhaps not perfect, but certainly built on mutual respect and understanding. What she didn't realize was how fragile it truly was. Sylvia first noticed the shift a few months ago. Greg had started coming home later than usual, often with vague explanations about work meetings and late-night projects. At first, she had brushed it off. They both had demanding careers, and she trusted him implicitly. But the growing distance between them was undeniable. Conversations became clipped, and their once effortless intimacy had dwindled into perfunctory gestures. One evening, while Greg was in the shower, Sylvia noticed his phone buzzing incessantly on the nightstand. She hesitated, telling herself she wasn't the kind of person who snooped. But the notifications kept lighting up the screen, each one a dagger of curiosity and dread. Finally, she picked it up. The messages were from a contact saved as Emma, a name Sylvia didn't recognize. They were casual but unmistakably intimate jokes, compliments, and plans to meet. Her heart pounded as she scrolled further, uncovering weeks of messages that painted a picture of a relationship far deeper than she could stomach. Sylvia felt a mix of emotions: anger, betrayal, humiliation, but also a strange sense of relief. At least now she understood the distance. That night, she didn't confront Greg. Instead, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together the shards of her crumbling marriage. The next day, Sylvia decided to reach out to her best friend, Marissa. Over coffee, she poured out her suspicions and the evidence she had found. Marissa listened intently, her face a mix of sympathy and concern. "You need to talk to him, Syl," she said finally. "This isn't something you can ignore." When Greg came home that evening, Sylvia was waiting in the living room. She had rehearsed her words all day, but now, sitting across from him, her mind was blank. "Is there something you want to tell me?" she began, her voice trembling. Greg looked startled. "What do you mean?" "Emma," she said, holding his gaze. The name hung in the air like a challenge. Greg's face shifted a flicker of panic, quickly masked by an attempt at nonchalance. "She's just a colleague," he said. "We've been working on a project together." Sylvia's eyes filled with tears. "Don't lie to me, Greg. I've seen the messages." There was a long silence. Finally, Greg sighed and buried his face in his hands. "I didn't mean for it to happen," he said. "It started as harmless flirting, but it got out of hand. I'm sorry, Sylvia. I never wanted to hurt you." Sylvia felt as though the ground had been pulled out from under her. She had suspected, but hearing the confirmation was a blow she wasn't prepared for. Over the next few weeks, their home became a battlefield of emotions. Greg promised to end the affair and begged for forgiveness, but Sylvia wasn't sure if she could ever trust him again. She oscillated between wanting to save their marriage and feeling an overwhelming urge to leave. During this time, Sylvia found herself reflecting on her own actions and the state of their relationship. She realized that she, too, had been distant, buried in her work, taking their life together for granted. This didn't excuse Greg's betrayal, but it forced her to confront the complexities of their situation. One evening, Sylvia received a call from an unknown number. It was Emma. "I'm sorry to bother you," Emma said, her voice shaky. "But I thought you deserved to know the truth." Emma confessed that while she had feelings for Greg, she had ended things as soon as she realized the depth of his guilt and love for Sylvia. "He talked about you all the time," Emma said. "I think he's genuinely sorry, but I'll stay out of your lives. You deserve a chance to heal." Sylvia didn't know what to make of the call. Part of her felt vindicated, while another part resented Emma for inserting herself into their lives yet again. But it also gave her clarity. If they were to move forward, it would have to be on her terms. In the months that followed, Sylvia and Greg embarked on the painful journey of rebuilding their marriage. They attended counseling, where they both confronted uncomfortable truths about themselves and their relationship. Sylvia learned to voice her needs and vulnerabilities, while Greg worked to rebuild her trust through consistent actions, not just words. It wasn't easy. There were days when the weight of betrayal felt insurmountable, and nights when Sylvia cried herself to sleep. But there were also moments of hope, small gestures of affection, shared laughter, and a growing sense of mutual understanding. One evening, as they sat together on the porch watching the sunset, Greg took Sylvia's hand. "Thank you for giving us another chance," he said. "I know I don't deserve it, but I'll spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice." Sylvia looked at him, her heart still heavy but no longer broken. "I'm not doing this for you," she said. "I'm doing it for us. If we're going to make this work, it has to be about both of us." Their journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, Sylvia felt a glimmer of hope. They had been tested, and while the scars would remain, they were learning to heal together.